Welcome back to Picture Breakdown. This is going to be my breakdown of The Bad Batch Episode 4, Cornered. I'm going to be going through this episode shot by shot for interesting visual details, hidden references, as well as any background information that you might need to know. Spoiler warning if you haven't seen this episode already. Alright, let's get right into it. So we open up with the Bad Batch looking for a place to lay low for a while. But Tech says that they need to restock on supplies on Pantora. We first saw this planet in Clone Wars Season 3 Episode 4, when Ahsoka went there for a mission. A screen shows up showing the planet and some orbish besides it that says, as you might have guessed, Pantora. They land on Pantora, and they get reported to none other than FENNEC Shand, the bounty hunter that we are introduced to in The Mandalorian Season 1, and she's voiced by Ming-Na Wen, the same actor that played her in The Mandalorian. They get into the street, and there's a taxi speeder with the Orbesh word for taxi on it. And then there's a sign that I absolutely love. It translates to party food, hot and spicy rancor. They then get over to a crowd, and they're all cheering for the clone troopers, which is sad, but it's very similar to how people who were invaded cheered and hailed Hitler when the Nazis were on the street. You can see some Lothcats, native to the planet Lothal, where Ezra Bridger is from. Hunter then tries to sell his Pyrodentin, which is a different kind of the explosives that Han and Chewie use to blow up the oscillator of Starkiller Base in The Force Awakens. Another shot shows a sign that says in Orbesh, Ivan's Wampa House. Omega gets on top of the tower, falls off, then starts to hang on, then falls off again, then FENNEC catches her, and then FENNEC drops her saying,
"Tuck and roll when you land, kid."
Tuck and roll was something that tons of Jedi did during the Clone Wars, but when Omega falls, she just lands on her back. They get into a little scuffle out in the middle of the roadway with the speeders, and I love that in the middle of it, for no reason at all, they just put in some alien just driving along, listening to his alien music. FENNEC goes up to the guy who reported the Bad Batch to her, looking like she was going to shoot him for not stopping them, but she instead pays him like she said she would. This is a great indication that she isn't a soulless person like some of the more ruthless bounty hunters. Alright, so one of the main mysteries surrounding this episode is who hired FENNEC Shand to capture Omega, and to figure that out, we have to look at Shand's behavior through this episode. At first, when she meets Omega, instead of just straight up kidnapping her, she just starts to pretend to be friendly, maybe something that the employer wanted FENNEC to do. Later, she then saves Omega's life by catching her from falling off the tower, so the employer clearly wants Omega alive. I think that the only recipient of these would have to be Nala Se and Lama Su were the ones who hired FENNEC to bring Omega back to Kamino. Nala Se in particular is very friendly towards Omega, and they both said last episode that they needed a direct source, and that direct source could be none other than Omega herself, the first Force-sensitive clone. I actually really enjoyed this episode. The fight sequences between FENNEC and Hunter were very entertaining, and seeing FENNEC again from The Mandalorian was really fun. The pacing through this episode kept fairly fast speed throughout, and I think that was fun to watch. It was also great that they introduced a little bit of mystery with who hired FENNEC, and it seems most likely option to be Nala Se and the Kaminoans, but who knows. For all we know, it could be Palpatine or the Starting Rebellion. Make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell to be notified about any future Bad Batch episode breakdowns. If you like these and you know someone who might also like them, make sure to share this with them and hit that like button if you enjoyed this week's episode. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next breakdown.